Problems with the food across the planet. Seems that the shortages are everywhere now in the news. They're preparing you for it. And when CNN puts out a headline, something like this: extreme weather caused by climate change, raising food prices worldwide, and then every other news outlet, even more conservative news outlets, pick up with it and run. They're trying to show that there was a worldwide study done. And what I've been talking about on the Adapt 2030 channel, magnetic field declines, these different long duration solar cycles affecting where the rainfall comes or doesn't. And that in turn drives higher food prices, which in turn collapses the economy or contracts it greatly, which causes people to move, migrate. This has been time immemorial cycle, at least since the Homeric minimum 2,400 years ago. 6 of these cycles. So we're back at it again, and it was forecast to come in right around this solar cycle 24, 25, 26. Some of the forecasts were wrong around solar cycle 24 leading into 25, but it looks like the tapering off of solar cycle 25, we're definitely going to get into something, well, not as stable for our food growing across the planet. And that what is this article is all about here. They're talking about extreme weather events, soaring food prices, and then if you wide it out off the phone version and you actually go to the website, we're talking about, we knew those massive floods in Barcelona and massive floods in Texas, massive flood everywhere. There's massive floods now. So they did this long study talking about 16 examples on 18 countries where prices spiked because of heat, drought, heavier precipitation, rainfall, floods, etc. Well, that all marches into magnetic field declines, destabilization, and how these jet streams are flowing into different areas. Okay, that's what the study's about. Potatoes in Britain, coffee in Brazil, and it goes through a gamut of all these different foodstuffs from rice to corn to wheat, cocoa, and things that we consume in our daily lives and why prices like olive oil, this sort of thing. And then it follows on, and this is a different set of research that is not cited in the CNN article, but it got picked up and is being spread across different social media right now. Countries across the world seeing food price shocks. Again, it's something to do with destabilized climate. Now you can draw your own conclusion as to why that's happening. I'm on the side of magnetic field, disturbances, solar activity. Some are on the other side that it's human caused, whatever, don't really care. The change is here. It's been forecast that it was coming. This is why all the change that we're seeing in our lives is being forced now because of this. Hungry people are uncontrollable, angry people. All the sociological studies that they've done since the late 1800s, everything's controllable with stimulus for the outcome you want, except for hunger. Hunger is an uncontrollable animal, literally. So if anything they could prevent, hunger would be the number one thing. Or you clamp down so hard that there's no possible way that anybody can misbehave during these times. So looking here, the foods included potato, rice, fruit, veggie, olive oil, cocoa, coffee, and it just goes through the gamut. And then it shows you in the map here, predominantly where these disruptions are occurring. And I would take you over to Asia, where an enormous amount of people live. This is not a toothpaste. It's a revolution for your teeth. Remineralize, strengthen teeth, all natural ingredients, essential oils, minerals, salts, Alpha Vedic Dental Solutions System. That's alphavedic.com/civilization. We're always trying to bring you the best products here that we think will enhance your life, especially if supply chains break down further, or if there's some disruption in our lives here. It seems in the news more and more possible, but hey, who knows? Maybe it's a mind game. But what is not is keeping your dental health up. And not a lot of people are talking about this. We always see the storable foods. But what about dental care during these same emergency situations? Will your toothpaste eventually run out? Well, if it does, then what? So like I say, this whole micro gut biome is driven by your oral cavity first. So take a look at what they have, alphavedic.com/civilization. Every purchase you make helps keep our live radio show and podcast on air. bringing you more information just like this. alphavedic.com/civilization. That link is in the show notes below. And as always, I appreciate your valuable time and joining us in this ever and most important conversation as we move forward in our world. And rice this year, I was using AI to front run. So I was just asking AI, used a couple different models. You used Notebook LM, Grok, and then what was ChatGPT. So those three. Tell me, in a country where they've lost more than 10% of XYZ different crops. So we're going to focus on rice. So I'd say, go into China and get me all the news stories that you can find that a region, an area, a province, whatnot, had lost 10% or more of their rice production for this year in the local media, reported by local media. And do it in Pakistan, and do it over in Afghanistan, and do it in Indonesia, and wherever they're growing rice. So far, 10% decline globally is what I'd found. When you get up to the 20% decline range, those are the more like smaller regions that are of the whole, but the entire region whole of the country totals doesn't really subtract all that, but definitely far greater than what's being reported in the news. So you look at 10% decline in rice globally. That's just incredible. Price rises up. There's already rice shortages in Japan, if you haven't seen that shock over there. But then the whole red, you got India, you got Pakistan, China, South Korea, Japan, and then if we get all the way down into like Southeast Asia, Vietnam, destabilization is coming because of food prices. People are so angry because of this. And what's my background? I mean, look at the background here. Thousands of years of history. Why do these civilizations come and go? You think the Egyptians just wanted to go quietly in the night? I don't think so either. And speaking of China, are we going to get pushed into the same sort of thing? So this is a social credit score here before you can charge your electric car. You have to have a minimum of 550 on your social credit score. If it's at 549, you're not able to use the charging station. So there's a minimum social credit score that you have to behave enough in society to get you to that score so you can partake. So anything lower than 550, you can't use this. Now, I don't know what it is for airplanes, bus tickets, train tickets, etc. But here, that's a luxury to be able to charge your electric vehicle. So you got to be on the good side. And this is where it is coming to seemingly across the globe. Now, Iceland, they're using now facial recognition technology at self-checkouts. So it's gone a little step further than what we see in our own local checkouts where the camera's above you. You have to actually scan your face, and this thing will biometrically tag you. And if you've done something naughty at a previous self-checkout, they will not allow you to purchase the product anymore. So they've had a couple false positives on the biometrics, and people were flagged for not. But the embarrassment of managers coming and going, you got to get out of here. And then they file the complaint and they're, oh, sorry, it wasn't really you. How much of that will we get? Now, notice the trend, though. Food prices and food unavailability and shortages of grain staples are here. Now there's hoops to go through to access different services, and that I guarantee will be a supermarket, so the social credit score. And then you're going to have to tie into the biometrics. Which brings me back to the bubonic plague. Now, there were a bunch of thieves who were caught that were going through and stealing jewelry out of houses where their people had passed, or on the streets, or at cemeteries. Now, normally, what you consider the bubonic plague, anybody touches that, you're toast, you're gone. But these group of thieves were consuming something that they had put together themselves, and they call it thieves vinegar, 4 thieves vinegar. So here's the ingredient list. If you're looking to make this, it is thyme, rosemary, sage, lavender, mint, oregano, garlic. And then if you look at the bottom, each one of these individual constituents have either antibacterial, antiseptic, antifungal, antiviral properties. They've been known for centuries. They're herbs and spice, people cooking with this. So if we get a 2.0 of something rolling around, you probably want to have this recipe here. Just saying, because the amount of control to get in the stores is far, 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 far greater than it was way back in 2019 and 20. Now we have a whole nother level of control, and there'll be a level on top of a level if we get that same, let's say, circumstance to swirl back upon us here. This one is definitely going to be in every kitchen cabinet. This is what Ransom Godwin and myself talk about every Thursday night, 10 p.m. to midnight. You can check us out at Civilization Cycle on Rumble. That's our seed point where we broadcast from. Please join us there. The comments are live. We try to answer those, as well as buy me a coffee, Civilization Cycle, and check out the show notes. We send those off on a weekly of what we talked about during the 2 hours at civilizationcycle.com. Please join us every Thursday night, because we all need to get in this conversation. We're all involved in what's happening, and it's here. It's at the doorstep. Everything we've thought about, talked about, could be in the future is no longer there. It is all in play, all right now. Appreciate you watching. Hope you got something out of the video. I will see you next time. Please share with your friends, family, smash that subscribe button. Bye for now.